You mentioned uranium, and that's interesting to me because I don't hear you mentioning it often. I don't want to say ever. Probably you mention it, but not as much as I not as much so that I can see it. Um, in my eyes, this is based on my research, what I found so far in the last I want to say 4 years, uranium has an indisputable supply deficit right now as we speak, regardless of a recession or depression, whatever it might be in over the short term.
Mhm.
Reactors are going to need to be refilled. Um, there's no capacity in the West to enrich the uranium and all the kind of things. There's a whole list that we can go through. But what are your current thoughts on uranium, Brent?
Right. Well, my first job at a university was looking for uranium in the Colorado Plateau. I worked at a uranium mine and was exploring around it and all through the Colorado Plateau. Um, and I agree. I think uranium is necessary to make the transition from carbon-based energy to alternatives. That it's not going to happen without uranium. And you know better than I, but the tide is turning in Europe, in Japan, US, as to the population's view on nuclear energy.
Hmm.
So I agree. It's there. It's needed. It's going to work, assuming something we don't have another disaster.
Hmm.
The reason I haven't talked about uranium a lot is because there is no shortage of uranium. There, you know, there's way more uranium than we need out there. It's just a matter of cost to get it out.
Exactly.
At 60, 70, $80, there's lots of uranium that can come online or that's sitting there. So I'm not really into exploration for uranium. I think a company like Energy Fuels that has a processing facility, they know what they're doing. They've got deposits just sitting there waiting for the price to rise. Um, that's the sort of company I would own instead of an exploration uranium exploration company. So
Hmm.
we've got plenty of uranium. It's just a matter of the price rising to make those deposits profitable. And it's not that hard to turn on these uranium deposits as opposed to assuming you've got a porphyry copper deposit in British Columbia that averages, call it point 0.3 copper, 0.2 gold. That at that percentage of that grade, it probably will look economic. But then to put that in production, you know, to catch that upturn is going to take what, 5 years,
Hmm.
10 years. I mean, it's funny. I had a meeting this week at the precious metal show in Beaver Creek with Mag Silver, which has a fantastic deposit in Mexico.
Yep.
When I was working for Rick Rule at Global in, I think it was 1999 or 2000, I went down there and looked at Mag Silver. At the time, it was just a concept, really good concept. We bought in at 50 cents with a 75-cent half warrant, but it was just an exploration concept. Um, this year in 2022, they finally put it into production. So that's 22 years
Yeah.
from walking on the ground to this thing coming into production. And you've gone through the cycles and et cetera, et cetera. So it takes a long time to find and put a deposit into production.
Well, you say that it's easier for uranium, but what about some of these amazing deposits, like $20,000 rock sitting in the Athabasca Basin for 30, 40 years? Nothing's happening to it. Um, Maybe I'm exaggerating here a little bit, but you know what I mean. The stuff that look economic sitting in the Athabasca Basin for decades upon decades, even through the spikes of the uranium price well into the triple digits. How come are those not coming into production?
Well, okay, so you've got Fission and Next Gen, right, up there in the Athabasca with some nice
Yeah,
deposits, right?
yeah.
Putting one of those to production takes time and a lot of money, and it's very complicated. And you're, in my view, you're likely only have one buyer, and that's Cameco,
Yeah.
maybe Rio Tinto, but Cameco. Cameco owns the basin. They shut down mines of those grade when the uranium price dropped. So all those are fantastic deposits. Does Cameco really need to buy them? And Cameco's like a carrier, a Air Force carrier or something. It's just it doesn't move very fast. It's a very stodgy organization.
Mm. They don't need to buy them, but we in the West might need fission and next gen to actually bring those into production because we want to be independent, in our energy source. And with nuclear capacities expanding, life extensions, new build outs being announced and stuff like that, wouldn't we need Western production, US, Canada production, so that we are independent of Kazakhstan, Russia, Uzbekistan, and all the other places? And obviously much more cheaper to mine uranium in the West. So therefore, wouldn't you need higher prices, make it tougher?
Yeah, I think the prices are going up. I agree. The uranium price is going to go up, and it's going to hit that price where all these little guys, Energy Fuels, Uranium Energy, they've got some stuff in Texas. These things can come online pretty quick. Cameco's got a whole back pocket full of deposits that they don't have in production.
Yeah.
So the need to spend billions of dollars buying and developing next gen is not that great in my view. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe next week Cameco pays double for next gen. I don't know. But that's just my view. That's why I
$5 billion.
spend a lot of time. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Would be interesting to see happening though, but you make a good point about these. Might be a question that I might start asking to companies in the basin that always talk about getting taken over is who's got that much money to take you over at the prices that you would want to sell, basically. And CEOs have become very comfortable in their positions being highly paid, and they don't want to sell for pennies on the dollar.
Yep.
So they want to get paid big time, and who's paying if Cameco is not looking for it, if they have their own mines and those mines are not even restarted yet? I think that's a good point.